100,000 for the cheapest ring on the nigga finger, little bitch.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Process Sports. I hope you guys are all staying healthy and safe during this whole pandemic going on. So today I'm going to be talking about conspiracy theories in sports. Now, there's a whole wide range of conspiracy theories in sports from many different sports. So today I'm going to pick a few that I deemed to be quite interesting in my opinion. And I'm going to tell you whether I believe in them or think they're flat out wrong, or kind of give you the both sides of the argument here. Also, this will be on YouTube, so please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Also, you know where to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, so please keep that up. I really appreciate the support. And more content will be coming out more shortly. So let's go right into it. So the first, and probably the biggest conspiracy theory in North American sports, at least, would be Michael Jordan's first retirement. So, as most of you guys know, Michael Jordan retired back in '93 after his first three-peat to play baseball. He was quoted as saying he lost the passion for the game and the drive and desire, and that's why he wanted a new chapter, a new challenge. Well, that new chapter, new challenge was baseball. However, it's interesting when you do the research on it, you'll see that there's a lot of different things going on, right? The death of his father, the NBA doing an investigation on his gambling. For those of you that don't know, Michael Jordan was a huge gambler, right? He was quoted as playing golf games worth $90,000. Back when he was playing against the Knicks and stuff, or the Nets in the playoffs, you could see him at Atlantic City, casinos till like 3 or 4 in the morning, gambling all night. So the NBA, after Jordan won his third title against the Suns, they deemed it an investigation. And the conspiracy theory is this. The conspiracy theories believe that David Stern, the then commissioner, the late great David Stern, went to Michael Jordan and said, look, we know you have a gambling problem. I got an option for you to save you from the public embarrassment. Because if you think about it, Michael Jordan still has such a fantastic public image, squeaky clean. Maybe few things here or there, but Michael Jordan is known as probably one of the greatest basketball players of all, probably the greatest basketball player of all time, and a squeaky clean image that he's grown for years. So saving him from and keeping that clean image, David Stern went to Michael Jordan and said, look, you have either I suspend you for a year or two, for 2 years, or you go retire and you create a distraction. Because here's another interesting thing. In Michael Jordan's press conference where he retired, he said, if David Stern allows me back into the league, I will come back. When somebody asked him a question, will you ever come back? And he said, if in 5 years down the road, if I'm healthy, if the Bulls want me, if David Stern allows me back in, I will come back. So why would he say that if he's just retiring, if he wants a new challenge? That's, for me, a really indicating thing that maybe David Stern had the smarts to know, look, this is my biggest star. He has a problem with gambling. We need to create a punishment for him, and this is the easiest way out. Now, for me, understanding how competitive Jordan was and stuff like that, why would he quit in the middle when he's the top of the game and not continue going on, right? So definitely, I think this does have some validity to it. With that being said, though, I know the death of his father might have really affected him and stuff like that. Now, there's also conspiracy theorists out there saying there was a hit on Jordan's father by the mob because of those gambling debts. That, like I said, I'm not too sure about. I haven't really researched that much, but I'm reading into that. So definitely, I do think that Jordan's gambling did really play a role in his retirement in 1993. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give this about an 8. There are a little bit of some dark holes in that I don't understand, that kind of I don't really believe. The part that kind of won't commit me to a 10 is because I think what he realized was this: I've played so much, the fatigue, take a couple of years off, and try baseball, because Jordan's dad did love baseball. But the biggest thing for me is that it all kind of makes sense that why David Stern said, look, I will save you the public embarrassment, and you can keep your brand if you retire and go somewhere else to come back in a couple of years. That part I really kind of believe did happen. So that's kind of what really leads me to giving it an 8 out of 10, or pretty much believing it. Believable, yes, I do believe it. I do believe there's a little bit of holes in there that I don't really believe. So definitely I do think that Jordan's gambling addiction did play a huge role into his retirement in 1993. Next, another Michael Jordan one I would talk about would be the flu game. So back in, again, this is after that retirement that we just talked about that had to do with or without gambling. So Jordan, as we all know, flu game, The iconic photo of Scottie Pippen holding him up, carrying him back to the bench. The fever, all of that, everything that people talk about. What happens if I told you he wasn't actually sick? Yeah. So the story goes, Jordan's great trainer, Tim Grover, was talking about how when they're in Utah for that finals, they're staying in a city or a part of Salt Lake City where everybody knew where they were staying, right? And it was late and Michael was hungry. So they ordered pizza. So then when Tim Grover says, when he goes down to get the pizza, there's 5 guys delivering a pizza, which is pretty weird. And he had a bad feeling about it. Yeah, he still took the pizza up, and Jordan, it was the only one that ate slice. Only person that ate a slice was Michael Jordan, right? And so the night goes on, and then at 2:00 in the morning, or earlier in that morning, Grover gets a call from Jordan saying that Jordan's room, and he rushes down and he finds Michael in the fetal position because he's been food poisoned. So the doctors put it off, and I guess the only reason I don't understand this is because why wouldn't you just say he got food poisoning, right? Now, I do believe this could be plausible because, as we know, Utah does have kind of the worst fans in the NBA with the racial slurs. They're kind of like they're fighting with players and stuff like that. So definitely, I could see that from a Utah fan. For me though, the biggest thing I don't believe it is because why wouldn't you just come on and say he had food poisoning? Why is it coming out? Because I think the article I was referencing was back in I believe 2015, 2016 time. So why was it coming out some 20 years later, right? Why not just announce it there that he had food poisoning, right? Now, maybe the whole lore of the flu and stuff like that, maybe it had to do with part of the flu. But for me, I don't really believe that because why don't you just say he had food poisoning, right? So that one, I'm not so much believable. Possibly might be the stomach flu, right? So we'll never know. Another NBA one was in 2002, the Lakers and the Sacramento Kings played in the conference finals. So this is in the middle of the Lakers three-peat, the last of their third championship with Shaq and Kobe. So we all know they were big, dominant stars, superstar on and off the court. The Lakers with a global brand, right? And then there's the small-town Sacramento Kings, led by Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, and those guys, right? So the story goes, and it's been quoted as a referee in the NBA named Tim Donaghy. He was on record and stuff for betting on games while he was reffing and was banned from the NBA, sent to jail and stuff like that. He came out and said that the NBA basically said they wanted the Lakers in the finals over the Kings and they will do whatever it takes. So the officials were given strict instructions to, I wouldn't say rig the game, but really lean towards the Lakers' favor, which, I mean, is kind of rigging the game, right? So how it goes is in the game 6 of that series, right, with the Kings up, I believe they're up 3-2, I believe. The Kings shot in the fourth quarter of that game. The Lakers had 27 free throw attempts, where the Lakers had 27 free throw attempts, where the Kings only had 9. Right? So therefore that propelled the Lakers to that victory, and then also they would end up winning game 7, right? This I kind of do believe because I do feel that leagues, especially the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, baseball, I don't know if they rig it, but I do feel that of course they would prefer to have the Lakers in the finals rather than the Sacramento Kings, right? Boosts viewership numbers. Of course, Shaq, Kobe, all of the LA market. Why would the LA market's much larger than the Sacramento market? So that totally makes sense to me. This I kind of do believe because if you look at that 2002 finals, right, it was the Lakers versus the Nets. Nobody really cared what the Nets outside New Jersey, right? They weren't a New York team. They weren't the Knicks, right? But if you have the Lakers in there, boom, ratings go up. And it's definitely clear that that's why the NBA preferred the Lakers in there. Right, so this I kind of do. When you look at other sports, you can kind of tell sometimes that in a certain series that the refs will give this team a favor. Now I don't know if that's just the way it plays out, but it's definitely a very good business strategy to have a team from a big market in the final or a conference final boost viewership numbers. More and more people are going to watch. So definitely that one I do kind of believe that it did happen. That I do think the NBA did rig that and screwed the Sacramento Kings because they would rather have seen Shaq and Kobe get the three-peat. It was a sexier story. Let's be realistic here. So now with that being said, though, in hindsight, it was game 6 they kind of rigged. So Sacramento still had game 7. But I think at that point in time, you kind of knew that. I do kind of feel that the league did want to see the Kings lose and the Lakers win. Let's see. Another one, stick with the championship game theory, would be the Super Bowl when Baltimore and the Ravens played off. Sorry, Baltimore Ravens versus San Francisco 49ers. When the lights went off. Remember Beyonce's big halftime performance and the lights went off. Conspiracy theorists believe, that the lights went out and everything to give the 49ers extra time for them to come back. Because remember that going to that halftime, Baltimore was dominating the game. They were dominating the 49ers, and the game was almost over. So then the longer delay, longer pause gave the 49ers an advantage because they were able to come back and make it a game out of it. Now, they still ended up losing, but the game was much more entertaining. This one I don't really believe. This one I kind of feel is just kind of like it's kind of way out there. I don't really believe it that much. I think it really was a technical malfunction. Now, it is a Super Bowl, so having technical malfunctions is not the best time, but it still happened. Hey, if Janet Jackson can have a wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl, you can have a technical malfunction at the Super Bowl too. So I definitely don't believe that one. Another Super Bowl one. This one's kind of near and dear to my heart. I know you guys all remember Seahawks versus Patriots. Seahawks are driving. Do they give the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line? And being a Seahawks fan, I remember exactly where I was. Standing up, look at after that amazing catch by Jermaine Kearse, Lynch runs down to the 1 yard line. I'm like, look, back-to-back Super Bowls, dynasty's begun. I'm ready to go to the parade in a couple days. And that doesn't happen. What happens is they throw the ball on a slant to Ricardo Lockett, and it's picked up by Malcolm Butler, and the game is over, and the Seahawks franchise, NFL history is altered for eternity. So conspiracy theory goes like this. The Seahawks didn't want Marshawn Lynch to win the MVP. They would have rather seen Russell Wilson win the MVP. And that's, to this day, that's one of the biggest things. I don't know if I believe. I don't want to believe it. But I kind of do believe it because I kind of feel that it wasn't Russell Wilson's fault. I'm sure he was just a shock too at that point in time, not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch because he was the best player in that game. If you watch that game, you could see Marshawn Lynch was dominating that game and the way he was attacking, smashing the Patriots. He was unbelievable. And he would have won MVP. And the Seahawks did not want him to win because of his media antics, not talking, stuff like that. They would rather see their quarterback, Russell Wilson, win because he didn't win the year previous. So that one, as much as it pains me, I kind of do think it's true. I kind of think that Pete Carroll and Darrell Bevell did not want to see Marshawn Lynch win MVP. Now, with that being said, though, he wasn't the best goal line running back, right? In the NFL. But to be honest, when you had those 3 tries at the goal line, you should have just given it to him at least one time and see what would happen. But like I said, they didn't. So I definitely believe that conspiracy is true, that they did not want to give Marshawn Lynch the ball because they did not want to see him win MVP. Now, unfortunately, I think that overthinking and that, I guess, being cocky kind of thing, kind of already presuming they would have won, really affected that whole Seahawks team. And as we know it, and they never actually got back to another Super Bowl, and they probably should have won that Super Bowl and probably a couple more of that team. So definitely it's something that will always stick in my head that I'll never forget. They should have given the ball to him, and that's a question we'll always have to wonder in our head. Going to soccer, so this is before I was born, but what I've been told is, and I'm sure a lot of you soccer fans and sports fans know, is 1986 World Cup, England versus Argentina. Diego Maradona's infamous Hand of God goal against England to proceed Argentina to the next round, and they eventually ended up winning that World Cup. This one, I know it's a lot of English soccer fans, and they are crazy and stuff, that how do you miss this, and it was fixed by FIFA. Honestly, I feel that it was... FIFA is pretty crooked, so I kind of would believe it, that they did screw the English over because they'd rather see Argentina and this upstart Diego Maradona win the World Cup rather than an English squad. So this one, I definitely do believe that the FIFA and the refs kind of probably did collude because, hey, I got to call it what it is. FIFA's corrupt at the end of the day. And I do think that the refs at the end of the day did screw England over by that. That's more believable than the fact that God himself allowed Diego Maradona to do that and go through, right? So I definitely believe that England got screwed in that 86 World Cup. Another one that I guess I was doing a lot of research and stuff that people thought was tanking in sports. That is a conspiracy theory that, oh no, they're not really tanking. To be honest, tanking's real. Tanking's real and alive. Teams are not going to come out and say it. But we all know as sports fans that tanking is real. You're going to trade assets to gain draft picks to replenish your team with a young upstart core. I mean, Miami Dolphins did it. They're doing really good. They could possibly do really well. Up to how many times in the NHL has it happened? The Philadelphia 76ers. It's tanking in sports is now a way of life. I feel nobody's going to come on and say we're tanking. It's called a rebuild, but it is tanking / rebuild is exactly the same thing. So I definitely think that's not a conspiracy. That's totally true. One near and dear close to people here in Vancouver is in 2011. I remember a lot of people saying that the Canucks got screwed. The refs didn't want the Canucks to win because Boston Bruins owner Jeremy Jacobs is the chairman of the board for the NHL. And at that point in time, league disciplinary officer Colin Campbell's son, Gregory Campbell, was on the Bruins. So the league wanted the Bruins to win, and they were told the refs to, not give the Canucks power plays because the Canucks had the best power play in the league and stuff like that. Honestly, I wish that was true. I wish it was true to ease the pain. No, it's not true. The biggest thing is the Canucks just couldn't. They didn't have the mental capacity and mental fortitude to beat the Bruins when the Bruins started beating them up. Now, I do feel that Aaron Rome's suspension was longer than it should have been, and they did get screwed in that aspect, and that changed the whole series. To be honest, but I just think the fact of the matter is the Canucks just didn't have the mental strength to beat the Bruins when they punched them in the face a few times and they couldn't come back like that. So for me, I think that is more of a fallacy than a truth that the refs in the NHL screwed the Canucks. That's not true. This one about the NHL is true, though. This one, I know for a fact it is true, and I believe it. When the Vegas Golden Knights came into the league, the NHL had set those rules for the expansion draft to give Vegas immediate success in the league. Because you know why? Because Vegas paid a $500 million expansion fee to enter the league. That's a $500 million. They built a brand new arena. They were the first pro team in Vegas. You bet the NHL wanted to be that league, to pump their chest to say, look, we went to Vegas first. We were right. We're starting the trend. I know for a fact Gary Bettman did this. They rigged it. They gave the rules in favor of Vegas so they could build a contender. And look at it. The first year, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. They've been a contender every year they've been in the league. I know for a fact, right? Now smart moves by the front office in Vegas and stuff like that. But I know for a fact that Gary Bettman wanted Vegas to be successful right away, and he demanded they be successful right away, and he had pressure from Bill Foley, the owner of Vegas, to be successful right away. And the same thing's going to happen to Seattle too, because you know why? These billionaire owners want to come in. They want to make money right away. They want to have a losing product. They want to win. They want to win, right? So what do? They changed the rules, adjusted, and so much in Vegas' favor that, look, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals that year, had all that playoff revenue coming in. So definitely I think that the NHL rigged the expansion draft so the Vegas Golden Knights could be. Now, I don't think they forced them to make the Cup final, but they definitely thought they would be competitive, right? But I definitely feel that Gary Bettman and NHL wanted Vegas to be successful right off the shoot, and that's why they changed the rules and bent the rules so that Vegas would be more successful, right? And would not have to struggle like other expansion teams have had in the past. And probably this is the big one. This is probably the biggest. Lastly, this is probably the biggest one that people are always talking about, and besides the Jordan ones, is the frozen envelope. So the frozen envelope is in 1985. Georgetown had a guy, iconic center named Patrick Ewing. I'm sure all you guys know, Hall of Famer, part of the Dream Team, great player. He was going to be the surefire, bona fide number one pick. The New York Knicks, the Seattle Supersonics, Sacramento Kings, Clippers, and Pacers were all in the mix, all out of similar odds. And the story goes that they froze this is probably the best part. They froze the envelope because back then you had a big bubble where you put all the envelopes and you turn it and you'd pick the envelopes out. So the story goes that they froze the envelope, the Knicks envelope. They froze it in there so when they put their hand in and reach it out, that they would know that's the Knicks one. This one, as crazy as it is, and I love the story that they froze an envelope. I think it's true for a matter of fact. It's true. I think the NBA knew if Ewing goes to the Knicks, basketball in New York is back. The Garden's going to be full. The New York's going to be successful. More money, more media. Because think about it. At that point in time, during the mid-'80s and stuff like that, that was just the starting about where the Magic and Larry would take the NBA to the heights they were in the 90s, right? Making sure the Knicks in the New York, in the biggest media market in the world, New York City, making sure they have the number one pick, this new superstar, Patrick Ewing. Most definitely they did it because they most definitely wanted New York to be back up in the forefront of the basketball world to make sure that they have all that media exposure, making sure their product is pumped up. So I think David Stern, the late great David Stern, I have for a fact that he did that because I have just a strong feeling that he did it because it makes so much business sense. And given the time where the NBA was, it makes complete sense that why would you not want to have your biggest market with a team in the biggest market be successful and have a brand new fresh superstar? It makes total sense, right? You look at, there's another small conspiracy theory that when Crosby came out, that the Penguins should have won because they want to revive that Pittsburgh market because it was so down, right? So there's a lot of different conspiracies about drafting and make sure that, look at Cleveland, right? And others, I don't really believe that the Crosby one and the Kyrie Irving one that I was going to mention right now that's true because those are not huge markets. But I definitely do think that the Patrick Ewing one is true, right? So yeah, those are some of the biggest conspiracy theories in sports, in my opinion, and whether I think they're right or wrong. So like I said, thanks guys. Stay safe and take care.